The kitchen was too quiet for a house that had once held a plural family. Too still, too airless. Kody Brown stood at the center of it, not as a husband, not as a patriarch, but as a man staring at the one truth he never wanted confirmed. 42 pages of legal ink lay spread across the marble counter, each line colder than the one before it. Robyn entered softly, the way she always did when she sensed tension. Her steps slowed the moment she saw the documents. But the real shift happened in her eyes, a tiny flinch, a flicker of recognition. And then the brief darting glance toward the bin. The window. The back door. Anywhere but at him. Cody didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. The betrayal already echoed louder than any argument ever could. He slid a page across the counter, stopping just before it touched her hand. Explain this. Robyn stared at the header, at the date, at the court seal from southern Utah that she swore had no more power over her life. Her throat tightened. Cody, I don't know what that is. He didn't blink, didn't breathe, didn't move. You don't know what this is? His tone didn't rise, it sank, sharp, controlled. The kind of voice a man uses when the truth has already arrived. And denial only makes it uglier. He turned to page 6, the one that hit him hardest. This clause here. This one about non-disclosure of cohabitation. He tapped it once, slow. Why didn't you tell me about this, Robyn? Her silence wasn't confusion. It wasn't fear. It was calculation, and Cody saw every second of it. You were meant to tell the court about a new spouse, he continued, his voice cracking just enough to show the damage. You were meant to notify them. You didn't. And according to this, he picked up another page, his hand trembling. You signed an agreement with your ex not to disclose anything. Robyn opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Nothing came out. Outside, the wind rattled the back door. Inside, the truth rattled everything else. Because this wasn't just a forgotten document. This wasn't messy history resurfacing. This was proof, black and white, notarized, sealed, and now unsealed, that the woman Cody divorced his first wife for, defended against 3 households and rebuilt his life around, might have been keeping another life entirely. Cody, please. It's not what you think. He stepped back, the papers trembling in his hand. For 10 years, Robyn. For 10 bloody years. I trusted you over everyone. And you couldn't trust me with this? Her eyes filled, but the tears didn't fall. Not yet. Because for the first time since she joined the Brown family, her script no longer worked. And Cody, heartbroken, blindsided, finally connecting every dot he'd ignored, whispered the words that shattered the room. Tell me the truth. For once. Robyn swallowed hard, her breath catching in the stillness. For years, she had cried her way through tension, soothed conflict with trembling lips and glistening eyes. But tonight, tears wouldn't save her. Cody wasn't looking at her face. He was looking at the pages, at the truth, at the decade of silence she could no longer outrun. Cody. She tried again, softer this time, fragile as glass. It's complicated. He let out a bitter laugh, a sound he didn't recognize as his own. Complicated. He stepped back from her palms, pressed flat against the countertop as if steadying himself. Complicated is what Christine gave me. Complicated is what Janelle tried to explain. Complicated is Meri's entire existence. This, he jabbed a finger at the affidavit. This is hidden. This is deliberate. This is something you kept from me while I tore my entire family apart defending you. Her eyes widened, but she stayed silent. And that silence told him everything. Were you still tied to him? Cody forced out. Legally. Financially. Emotionally. What else haven't you told me? Robyn's lips trembled, but she didn't deny it. That was the part that cut the deepest. She didn't say no. She didn't look him in the eye and swear he was wrong. She simply broke quietly, inwardly, like a porcelain ornament cracking under its own paint. Cody shook his head, pacing in a tight circle. I divorced Meri, he whispered, almost to himself. I gave up the mother of my first child to protect you. I let the whole world call me biased, blind, unfair. And all this time you had a sealed file that still tied you to him. His voice broke on the last word. And you didn't tell me? Robyn wrapped her arms around herself, shrinking into the corner of the kitchen island. I was scared, she finally whispered. Of what? Cody snapped. Of losing everything. That stopped him. He stared at her as if seeing her for the first time. Everything. His voice softened, but not kindly. Everything or me? Robyn didn't answer. And that was answer enough. The silence stretched, heavy, suffocating. It sat between them like a verdict. Somewhere in the hallway, a floorboard creaked. The house was listening. Cody took a deep breath, pinching the bridge of his nose as if trying to push back a wave of rage. Who told you not to disclose this? He asked, was it him? Was it the court? Was it your attorney? Or was it you deciding what I did and didn't need to know? Robyn's chin quivered. My attorney said it would only complicate things. That it was in the past. That bringing it up would reopen custody issues. I didn't want that. I didn't want you dragged into it. Dragged into it? Cody shot back. I married you. I adopted your children. I put my name, my household, my finances, my reputation on the line. I was already dragged in, Robyn. I just didn't know I was dragging your whole past behind me. She flinched. He leaned on the countertop, staring down at page 12, the one that mentioned failure to notify court of new marital cohabitation during active judgment. This says you were legally required to tell them about me, he murmured. And you didn't, she whispered. I was protecting my children. Yes, he said coldly. Yours, not mine. Not ours, yours. A long, painful silence. Then he looked up again, voice barely above a whisper. Were you still talking to him? Robyn froze. Don't lie to me, Cody warned, the quiet fury returning. Not now. Her eyes filled with tears again, but this time she didn't cry. Because she knew crying wouldn't rewrite the document. Wouldn't erase the signatures. Wouldn't make the timelines match. Yes, she finally whispered. Sometimes. About the kids. About other things. Cody's shoulders sagged as if someone had cut the strings holding him upright. Other things. His whole world tilted. He stepped back, staring at the papers, then at her, then at the life he had reshaped around her. And then he asked the question that changed everything, Robyn. Were you really done with him when you married me? The kitchen went dead silent. Robyn didn't answer. And that was the moment Cody Brown finally understood. He hadn't lost his family because of the other wives. He hadn't lost them because of jealousy or conflict or a plural marriage failing. He'd lost them because he'd built his future on a lie. And the woman who let him do it was standing right in front of him. Lie. And the woman who let him do it was standing right in front of him. Cody didn't raise his voice. He didn't shout. He didn't even look angry anymore. And that terrified Robyn far more than any explosion of rage ever could. Because silence from Cody Brown was not peace. It was resignation. He stared down at the child's note, the crooked handwriting, the innocent worry, the simple question. Are you guys okay? He'd lied to his children before. Lied to maintain the illusion of unity. Lied to keep the show together. Lied because the truth was too messy, too painful, too raw to expose. But he couldn't lie anymore. Not after the documents. Not after the affidavit. Not after the bank transfer. Not after discovering that for a year, maybe longer. He had been living in a marriage where he wasn't even listed as part of the household. He lifted his eyes to Robyn. I need you, he said slowly, each word like a stone falling into deep water. To tell me the truth. Not the rehearsed version. Not the crying on camera version. Not the I-DID and single quotes T-her to version. He stepped away from the mantle. I need the truth you never said. The truth you kept in sealed envelopes and private trusts and emails that tell other men not to tell your husband. Robyn's throat tightened. Tears gathered. A familiar pattern. But Cody didn't move toward her this time. He didn't reach for her. He didn't soften. He simply watched her cry like someone observing a stranger. It wasn't like that, she whispered. I didn't think any of it mattered anymore. I didn't think it would ever come back. That's the thing about the past, Cody replied. It doesn't vanish. It waits. She wiped her eyes. "You knew my divorce was messy," she said. "You knew my ex was difficult. You knew. I knew what you told me," Cody cut in. "What you let me know. What you filtered?" Robyn froze. Cody took a seat, but not beside her. Across the room, opposite her, a physical gap that matched the emotional one. When Christine forwarded the documents to Janelle, he said quietly, "They waited. They didn't send them to me immediately. Do you know why?" Robyn shook her head. "Because neither of them wanted to be accused of attacking you. Again." The word again hung in the air like smoke. Cody continued, voice steady. "When they finally sent them to me, I didn't want to believe it. I told myself it was a misunderstanding. That you'd explain it? That you'd show me the part I wasn't seeing." His jaw tightened. "But the only part I wasn't seeing was you, the real you." Robyn's lips trembled. "You're twisting everything." "No," Cody said sharply. "You twisted everything. You let me go on national television defending you against accusations you knew weren't completely untrue." He leaned forward. "You let me divorce Meri. You let me sacrifice trust with Christine. You let me break Janelle's heart. You let me lose my relationships with my children, all while hiding agreements and payments and clauses that would have changed every decision I made." Robyn swallowed. "You don't understand what it was like back then," she murmured. "Then make me understand," Cody insisted. "Because everything I thought was real, everything I believed is up for question now." She hesitated. The silence pressed too hard. Then her voice came out small. "I was scared." "Of what?" Cody asked again, but this time there was no anger, only exhaustion. Robyn stared at her hands. "Of losing custody. Of losing the children. Of losing everything I built before you. My attorney told me that if I disclosed too much, it could reopen things. It could complicate visitation. It could even allow him to come after support again. So you married me," Cody said, "and hid the legal strings to your ex. It wasn't like that. You kept a trust with him. For the kids. You sent him money and asked him not to tell me. For the kids," she whispered again, weaker this time. "You kept a private agreement that didn't include me." Robyn shut her eyes. "And I didn't want to drag you into it. But you did," Cody said. "You dragged me into everything except the truth." Another silence. This time, Cody broke it. "I need time," he said. Robyn looked up sharply. "What does that mean?" "It means I'm not sharing a bed with someone who signs agreements behind my back." She shook her head rapidly. "No, Cody, please. You can't just..." He stood. "I can, and I am." She stood too, her breathing uneven. "You're overreacting. This is exactly what they want. Christine, Janelle, the fans, they want to break us apart." "No," Cody replied. "You did that." Robyn's face crumpled. "I loved you," she whispered. He looked at her, really looked, and for the first time in years, it didn't soften. "And I loved the woman I thought you were." Her knees weakened. She caught the edge of the counter. Cody walked to the doorway, paused, and spoke without turning around. "I can forgive a lot, Robyn, but I can't forgive being used." He left the room. Robyn stayed frozen, eyes unfocused. Realizing something she'd never feared until now, she wasn't losing control of the family. She wasn't losing public favor. She wasn't losing a storyline. She was losing Cody. And once Cody Brown stops believing in a marriage, it's already dead. Robyn didn't move for a long time. She stood with one hand on the counter, one hand hanging uselessly at her side, her breath sharp and uneven. The house felt suddenly enormous, too large, too empty, like all the air had been sucked out the moment Cody left. The silence was excruciating. Even the clock on the wall seemed hesitant to tick. She finally forced herself to walk into the living room, each step heavy. The house was still. Too still. She could almost trace Cody's path the way he'd walked out without hesitation, without looking back, without one last word of reassurance the way he always used to. Robyn had lost fights before. She had lost arguments, lost sympathy, lost popularity. But this felt like losing oxygen. She sank onto the sofa, trembling. He can't mean it. He couldn't, not Kody. Not the Kody who defended her in every reunion special. Not the Kody who accused the other wives of jealousy whenever they questioned her behavior. Not the Kody who once said, "My relationship with Robyn is the one thing that gives me clarity." If he questioned her, if he pulled away, then the one pillar she always relied on, absolute loyalty, was crumbling. Her phone buzzed. The sound punched the air like an alarm. Robyn reached for it with shaking hands. A message from her eldest daughter. "Ma'am, why did Dad call? What's going on? Are you guys fighting?" Robyn exhaled sharply, her chest tightening. She typed a reply, deleted it. Typed another one, deleted it. Anything she wrote looked like an admission. Or a lie. Before she could decide on anything, the front door opened. Her heart lurched. But it wasn't Kody. It was Dayton. Shoulders tense, expression unreadable. As if expecting a confrontation the moment he stepped in. "Ma'am," he said carefully, "Dad called me too." Robyn swallowed. "What did he say?" "That you and he need space." Dayton stared at her. "Ma'am, what did you do?" Her breath caught. It wasn't accusatory, it was scared. Almost childlike, despite the man he'd become. She reached out for him, but he didn't step closer. "Your father misunderstood," she said softly. "He's reacting emotionally." Dayton frowned. He didn't sound emotional. He sounded done. The words hit hard. Robyn forced herself to stay composed. "He thinks I hid something from him," she said. "Old legal documents, things from before him, things that have nothing to do with our marriage." Dayton hesitated, but they were still secrets. Robyn stiffened. "You're taking his side." "I'm not taking anyone's side," he said, voice quieter. I don't want to lose our family again." She looked away. The irony of that statement was almost too much to bear. Before either of them could say more, a car engine hummed outside. Robyn froze. Dayton crossed to the window, peered out, and then turned to her. "It's Janelle?" Robyn stood up so fast she nearly lost her balance. Janelle Brown never arrived unannounced. Ever. Not in the old days. Not when tension was high. Not after the separation. If Janelle was here, if she was walking toward Robyn's front door, it wasn't for a chat. It wasn't for niceties. It wasn't for closure. It was because something had reached breaking point. A sharp knock echoed through the house. Dayton looked at his mother. Robyn's breathing was uneven again. "Don't open it," she whispered. But Janelle knocked a second time, louder, firmer. Dayton gave Robyn a long look. "Ma'am, avoiding this will only make it worse." Robyn's hands trembled. Her composure cracked. "I'm not ready," she admitted. "Not tonight." Dayton exhaled, squared his shoulders, and walked to the door himself. He opened it. Janelle stood on the porch, coat wrapped tight, eyes blazing, not with anger, but with resolve. Cold, clear, unshakable resolve. Her voice didn't rise. It didn't waver. "Is Robyn home?" Dayton hesitated, glanced back at his mother. Robyn slowly stepped into the hallway, looking smaller than she ever had. Janelle met her eyes. "Good," she said, "because we need to talk now." Robyn opened her mouth, but Janelle raised a hand. "This isn't about the past anymore," she said. "It's about what happens next. Because the papers Kody saw today, they're just the beginning." Robyn felt the ground tilt beneath her. Janelle took a step inside, and then she delivered the sentence that froze the entire house. "Christine has found something worse." And then she delivered the sentence that froze the entire house. "Christine has found something worse." The Robyn files, the lie that ended the Brown family when he finally turned to face Robyn. It wasn't anger that frightened her. It wasn't shouting. It wasn't even disappointment. It was the silence. A silence so sharp, so heavy, that it felt like a verdict. "You were still working with him," Kody said flatly. Robyn's eyes filled instantly, but Cody's hand rose not gently, not cruelly, simply final. "Don't cry. Not right now." He dropped the court envelope on the kitchen table. It burst open on impact, spilling out pages, bank transfers, statements, dates, signatures. The Arizona account Robyn had closed in 2017, or claimed she had. Recurring payments? Same recipient. Same man. Her former husband, the man she insisted was long gone. "This isn't a one-time error, Robyn," Cody said. "These aren't old ties. These are choices." Her voice wavered, thin as paper. "It wasn't like that. But it was like that. The dates didn't lie. The money didn't lie. The records matched the exact period when Cody and Robyn were already legally married when he refinanced properties, adopted her children, and defended her against Christine and Janelle. While he built a future with her, she was still tied to her past. And when trust breaks in a marriage, it's devastating. But when it breaks in court, it's war." Christine and Janelle sat across from each other at a quiet Tucson cafe, both already looped into the affidavit and the bank files. "I kept wondering why Cody wouldn't see it," Janelle murmured into her coffee. "Now I think he just didn't want to." Christine nodded. "He was so in love with her. He couldn't even imagine she'd lie. And maybe that's the deepest wound of all. It wasn't just a lie. It was a calculated legal structure, a quiet strategy. While the other wives were branded disloyal, disrespectful, or dramatic, Robyn played the long game. Behind the tears, a paper trail. Behind the trust, a sealed agreement. Cody sank into a chair, gripping the receipt list like it was a confession he didn't want to read but couldn't unsee. He wasn't angry. He was hollow. "You told me everything was over," he said softly. "You told me you'd close that chapter." Robyn sat frozen. "I thought, if you knew, you'd walk away." "You mean," Cody replied, voice trembling for the first time, "you knew if I knew the truth, I wouldn't have married you." And there it was. The collapse of a fairy tale. Love can survive distance. It can survive doubt. It can survive time. But it cannot survive deception. Robyn stood, shaking. "Everything I did was to protect my kids. I didn't want them pulled into more courtroom fights. I was trying to keep them from feeling caught between two men." But Cody didn't blink. "You made me one of those men." At that exact moment, the camera crew previously waiting outside was invited in. Robyn authorized it. She wanted to set the record straight, or at least manage the optics. She stared directly into the lens. "I didn't hide anything out of malice," she said. "I was afraid that my past would ruin the one good thing I found." But viewers weren't moved, because the damage wasn't emotional, it was legal. It was documented. It was undeniable. Christine's words from weeks earlier echoed across every comment section. "She was never honest. We just didn't have the documents to prove it." In the weeks after the confrontation, Cody filed paperwork of his own. Despite still being legally married, he requested a full financial audit of all marital holdings and past business ventures. This wasn't emotional distance. This was legal repositioning. The man who once surrendered his marriage to Meri just to elevate. Robyn was now dismantling everything he had built with her. And what triggered this final decision? A voicemail. Anonymous, urgent. Sent days after the confrontation. She had a contingency plan. The voice whispered, "In case it didn't work with you." There was always an account in her maiden name. There were always backup funds. The call ended abruptly, but the seed had been planted. Cody remembered how Robyn insisted on managing the children's accounts, how she set up a special trust for education, how he never asked questions, because he trusted her. But now, he wasn't sure if it was ever love or leverage. Janelle finally broke her silence with a single Instagram post, a photo of Coyote pass. Caption: "Truth always comes back around." Cryptic, brutal, perfect. Fans understood instantly. This wasn't a fight. This was a reckoning. Christine, on the other hand, didn't post anything. She didn't celebrate. She didn't gloat. She simply existed with the peace of someone who finally knew she'd made the right decision. Sometimes the real revenge isn't rage. It's freedom. Isolated, Robyn hired both a divorce lawyer and a media consultant within days. Not because she wanted a divorce, But because she feared the one court she could never win, the court of public opinion, the show would air. The documents would leak. The world would know. One evening, in a quiet moment captured by TLC, Robyn sat on her porch whispering to no one. "I tried to protect everyone. I really did. Maybe I should have just told the truth." But the truth came too late. No producers. No microphones. Just a courtroom, a judge, and the last sealed file. Inside it, a financial disclosure dated June 3, 2016. 1.5 pages. Signed by Robyn S. Sullivan, co-signed by her former husband. The judge read the summary aloud. It revealed joint assets with her ex, an education trust to life insurance policies, a coned residence under a pseudonym LLC. None of it disclosed to Cody 8 months into their legal marriage. The paper didn't lie. The silence didn't protect. The truth was now public record. Robyn asked for privacy. The judge denied it. The document would be made public in 48 hours. "It wasn't supposed to come to this," she whispered. But in Cody's mind, it already had. Back home, Cody pulled out a suitcase, folded shirts slowly, mechanically. He paused only once, when he picked up a photo of Solomon and Ari. They were innocent, but everything around them had shattered. Robyn came home late, saw the suitcase, and froze. "Please don't," she whispered. "You lied to me for years," Cody said. "You let me defend you while you were still tied to someone else." "I was protecting the kids," she cried. "No," he said softly. "You were protecting yourself." This wasn't heartbreak. This was collapse. Legal, emotional, spiritual. Within a week, Cody and Robyn filed for legal separation. A full forensic audit began. TLC announced a special, The Robyn Files. Court documents went viral. Fans turned forums exploded. The Brown family fractured permanently. Some viewers felt pity. Most felt deceived. Because receipts don't lie. And secrets always surface. Where they are now, Christine, thriving in Utah, finally free. Janelle, rebuilding independence, confident, steady. Cody alone, surrounded by paperwork and regret. Robyn, silent, offline, reportedly preparing to move far from Flagstaff. The woman who once wanted cameras everywhere, now wanted no eyes on her at all. Because the truth always arrives. And hers arrived too late. Final question for viewers, was this inevitable? Or did one decision, one signature, one sealed document change the fate of the Brown family forever? Comment below and subscribe for more courtroom-style breakdowns. Because in the world of sister wives, the truth is always one file away from chaos. The courtroom drama and family chaos unfolded like a storm that refused to stop. From the very first moment Christine stepped onto the witness stand, the Brown family's fractures became undeniable. Tension spread through the courtroom as old wounds resurfaced. Truths cracked open, and lies could no longer survive the light. Meri's testimony struck the hardest. Survive the light. Meri's testimony struck the hardest. Her voice didn't tremble, it commanded. She brought forward documents, dates, and memories Cody never expected her to keep. For years she had been dismissed, ignored, sidelined. But now she held the power. Her revelation shook Cody's defense to the core, leaving the judge visibly unsettled and the spectators speechless. What Meri exposed wasn't small petty conflict, it was a pattern of manipulation, emotional neglect, and secretive decision-making. Robyn watched the entire spectacle unravel with widening eyes. Her grip on Cody, the control she once held, began to slip. She tried to intervene, to defend, to soften the blow. But her influence evaporated the moment the evidence dropped. For the first time since joining the family, she was no longer the untouchable favorite. She was simply another witness to Cody's downfall. The courtroom break only intensified the drama. When Cody walked out, he didn't walk toward his family, he walked away from them. From Robyn, from everyone. Robyn followed him home, desperate to hold on to what remained. But their argument behind closed doors revealed even deeper secrets. Hidden documents, forgotten legal files, matters from her past that Cody interpreted as betrayal. When he left the house without looking back, Robyn's world collapsed. The silence that followed was louder than any shouting match they had ever had. Even her children noticed the shift, questioning, worried, sensing that the foundation of their household had cracked. The shock escalated when Janelle arrived unexpectedly at Robyn's door. THR direct and resolute. She delivered a chilling message. Christine had discovered something even worse than what Meri revealed. This wasn't just a family argument anymore. This was the beginning of a legal reckoning. Years of unspoken grievances, financial inconsistencies, alleged forged documents, and personal betrayals were finally rising to the surface. The wives once divided were aligning, not out of loyalty to each other, but out of a shared need for truth and accountability. Cody's power, influence, and control were slipping from his hands faster than he could grasp them. And Robyn found herself isolated in a way she never expected. What started as a simple court hearing transformed into a full-scale unraveling of the Brown family legacy. A legacy built on unity, but undone by secrets. The storm had only begun, and the Brown family would never be the same again.